And we are live. Yes, we love it, man. Hey, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next presentation here. We are going to talk about commercial keyword research, the process and steps that you can take to get started on this. As I mentioned, we've been sort of talking about a process here for driving traffic and building content. There's going to actually be more on that coming up in the next broadcast. And we have also talked about a lot of tools and Chrome plugins, and so there's been a lot of juicy tidbits here and strategies along the way. And today I'm going to talk about the process and steps, as I mentioned. And this is from a presentation that I made up in Las Vegas for about 200 Amazon buyers about how to drive traffic to their e-store. So particularly Amazon, we'll see some examples of that here today. But I've sort of made some updates here and making it a little bit sort of wider adoption, if you will. So I hope you enjoy this. It's going to be fairly short today, but I wanted to get this out to you because I know you love it. And I love doing these for you. And if you haven't checked this out, go to chaosmap.com. That's the agency that I founded about 10 years ago, focusing a lot on paid advertising. In fact, Facebook and Google is one of the key drivers there, but we also do content, and SEO has been the mainstay all along. And I wrote 3 books on this for Entrepreneur Magazine, McGraw-Hill, and so feel free to check that out. And if you wanted to jump on for about 15-20 minutes and talk to myself or one of the experts at the firm, just go to chaosmap.com/talk. And so that's the pitch for today. And actually, there's no pitch there because I'm happy to help you if you want to go there. So let's talk about this. Let's dig in. So the process, and you may have seen and heard this before. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. Really appreciate your watching and caring and sharing. And if you're coming in through the broadcast on the podcast, which is Media and Marketing, thank you as well. It's actually proven quite useful in the conversations I've been having. I just came back from Social Media Marketing World in San Diego. Some great conversations there. And, I think that a trend that I'm seeing just overall, and as I'm talking to folks down there, is podcasting is sort of the new blogging. And I hate to trivialize that because, frankly, blogging is not dead, right? So there's no a strategic shift that you need to make, but hey, a way you can do this, just to sort of bring this up as a quick side note here, record on your phone, upload it to your podcast and transcribe that and have somebody kind of proofread it and make it more formal and put that on your blog as well. So we're going to talk about the notion of content explosion and content duplication, 10xing content, etc. in future broadcasts, because there's a lot of exciting things happening in that field as well. But today I wanted to talk about the process for finding buyer keywords, as I said. So we're going to dive in, and there's really 4 steps that we like to look at, and I certainly love to dive into when I talk about this, and that is the initial research, right? And by the way, even though I'm sort of going fast here today, some of these things, depending on the scope, will take weeks to do, so certainly days, but also weeks for really large scope projects. And so don't sort of, step past this because you want to speed along and just get to the end result. This all belongs to the category of preparation, right? And so upfront research, step 2, analyze that data, apply that data, and track. And that, of course, includes testing, whether you're doing, paid or organic, and measuring all the way. And, of course, improvement and iterations on that. So I'd like to just share with you a couple of steps here today on this broadcast to kind of see what would we do if we had an e-store like an Amazon, right? And what I did here is I pulled out some natural keywords first. I didn't go to the paid a bit yet. We'll see that here in a second. But what I did is I said, okay, so let's assume that the marketplace is watches, right? We have obviously watches for men, we have watches for women, boys, girls, kids, there's sports, there's many sort of variation within that main bucket in terms of keywords and sets of keywords for topical relevancy as you start to drill down. Well, what I simply did is I went to Amazon and I typed in watches, and I get basically a listing of keywords that are available in the type ahead there, and very valuable information. And as you can notice here, no software tools, right? This is manual work. As I mentioned in the previous broadcast, there's nothing like actually going in and starting to look at this manually. Tools is just a means to an end. We need to build out a strategy for this, so we start right here. And then I went over to Google and did the same thing. I typed watches, and I noticed that there was an Invicta was a watch that was popular, so I hit the I and N and I typed it out, and I can see Invicta Watches Pro Diver. Interesting, right? Invicta watch bands. Invicta watches Amazon Invicta Angel watch. Not sure what that is, right? But I can see the type ahead here as well. And I can also see ads, which again is this manual research, very, very useful. And I can see who's also playing in this market, from Macy's to Evine, and there's some others here as well. And of course you see the invictastores.com themselves. And so, okay, great, fine. Let me now start to extract some of this data. And again, I'm using just a simple example here, but you want to iterate on this and start collecting these data points into Excel. And then what I do is I use something called KWFinder, keywordfinder.com. There's a free subscription and a paid one. And it's really nice because it gives us paid and organic listings. And I'll share some tips here in a second that will really elevate this to the next level. But let's start with just simply suggestions for Invicta Pro Diver. I sort of like that segment. Not boys, not men, not women, but divers, sort of the sports related field. So when I type that into KW Finder, Keyword Finder, I can see that Invicta Pro Diver, I see some trend lines there. I can see the search is 18,100, cost per click 0.53. I can see, potentials for ranking this keyword and this phrase and related terms is 33 out of 100. And this is the keyword SEO difficulty, as you can see on the right-hand side here. And you see basically Google SERP results, meaning the search engine results pages with domains that are highly relevant and related to this particular keyword search, right? So I will do this for a number of these top-level searches. To get a sense for it, I will export some of this data. I will start collecting data in the Excel sheet and start building out the tabs, and we can talk about how we do that in another broadcast if you're interested. But still now, early stage, right? I'm starting to get a sense for this here. So what I then do is I jump over to Scientific Seller. As I mentioned, we're sort of talking about Amazon buyer-specific keywords. And I type in the keyword watches Invicta Pro Diver as well, and I get a lot of great searches back for Amazon buyer keywords, right? And you can actually see it in the list. And it looks like we found 35 really strong keywords related to this watches Invicta Pro Diver, and for men, right? So now I'm starting to kind of look at the variances here, women versus men, Pro Diver. I can see stuff words, it's a lot of detail you get from Scientific Seller, which is a great tool. What I do is I take that and I want these buyer keywords, right? Commercially driven keywords, commercial intent, and I export those to Excel. Once again, Excel is our, primary tool for search marketers. Basically you can write this up any way you want. You just want to get organized and you want it to be easy to consume. And if you're sharing this with clients, you want this to be shareable as well. And when I say Excel, right? Excel, yes, the dashboard or desktop version, but also, Google Docs, so Google Sheets. So, okay, great. So I got these exported and I can see there's some very strong kind of long tail keywords here. Then I'll take these keywords and I'll iterate now again back to KW Finder, KW Finder. I should just say Keyword Finder. And then I'll put those back in and I'll actually determine, okay, what is the feasibility of perhaps ranking this particular keyword? Watches Invicta Pro Diver 23400 here is this example. Well, it's 15 out of 100 for ranking this. Now, the number itself is just an indicator. It's going to be hard if you're seeing, Wikipedia and Amazon and a whole bunch of high authority sites up there. This number will just be a guide for you, but still, you have an ability to start thinking about the potential for this for ranking. But also, we know that the list that we just exported from Amazon is a buyer-centric keyword list. Well, then we go ahead and type in the keywords that we found, 35 of them, right? And we enter it back to KWFinder to determine what are the ones that we'd really like to focus on, right? And I'll get to here in a second how we optimize this, and I may actually push it out to the next broadcast, because a keyword alone is not going to rank you, right? I mean, yeah, if you're lucky, but actually the combination here is going to be important, and how you set this up as with related content on the pages. So KWFinder is a great tool for both paid and organic. And one of the things I just mentioned a few minutes ago is it has the ability to check the autocomplete, the type ahead, as I mentioned earlier, right? So it'll pull through the API, the autocomplete. You can see that there up on the screen. It's another tab. And then use the same term. Well, that's another way for you to actually determine related, phrases from Google within the KWFinder tool. Also questions, and questions is a big deal because, frankly, you can use questions and long-tail searches to get really specific about what people are not only looking for, but that you will provide content for. So provide pages for that. By the way, just a quick side note here, there's another cool tool that we use for this called Keyword Keg. We like this also because it has the ability to, gives a lot of detail here, but it has the ability to look at Google and Amazon and Bing and Ask, although Ask is sort of out of the game, right? But Yahoo as well, YouTube. You can just checkbox those search engines and take a look at the results and essentially find what does the keyword pool look like across these various platforms, all in one dashboard. So that's Keyword Keg as well. And of course, what we do now is we want to see how closely does this match the real world, because we're using third-party tool. And I was talking about this to the Amazon sellers in Las Vegas during that presentation. There is nothing like going to the source, right? So for sponsored products, product display ads, all the things that you can do within Amazon Marketing Service, AMS, the paid media keywords, when you load those up and test them inside the Amazon PPC, platform itself, you can get up-to-date keyword research data and traffic numbers. This would be the most specific that you can get for market intelligence of these keywords, because frankly, some of these keywords, they may look good on digital paper, but until you actually test them, and in this case on Amazon, the paid media PPC platform, you're not going to know how viable that is, right? And by the way, Amazon has something similar as to AdWords, which is kind of the ability to look at related keywords, relevant keywords. Search terms report in AdWords provides that. It's a killer, feature to find out what people are actually typing in there. Well, similar here on Amazon, right? As I mentioned, questions is a very powerful mechanism for you to drive buyer traffic. It is much more intent-driven than just somebody typing a keyword, because we always talk about the customer journey, right? From the hot, if you remember, on the right-hand side to the sort of warm in the middle and then cold on the left-hand side. I had that graph up in the previous broadcast where, I wanted to explain the importance of that, right? So where are you in the buying cycle or in the customer journey? Well, here somebody is using questions that is very, very specific, and it's considered warmer traffic than the ice cold just typing in keywords, because they're maybe just doing some top level research, or they're tire kickers at that point. They're not really serious. So you can pull that out from the KWFinder tool as well. And here's an example how much our Invicta watch is worth, right? Well, that may be an inappropriate one for a sale, actually, that example there, because I realize that's actually trying to find out a sales value of that. But, these are things that you can ultimately test, and you should test, because everything we do online is about testing. So lastly here today, I wanted to share with you the long tail notion. I've talked about this before during this process, and for watch, right? The head term. So we look at this from a left to a right in this sort of graphical format here, where the search terms in the what we call the head section include the word watch, right? That's going to have fierce competition. It's not really a great term to bid on or to try and optimize for, because not only are you not going to want that type of traffic, but it's fierce competition. The long tail is where you want to play, 3 to 5 to 6 words that have, thousands of searches out in the marketplace. They're longer term, as I said, but they will convert more. So, for example, I'm not using the Invicta here, but tag hour modular 45 watch black, tag hour modular 45 watch titanium. These are very specific long tail phrasings, right? Well, if you can build this in during your research and onto your pages, you have a great time trying to present data to potential users, because they're going to love this. And when I say great time, as in like great opportunity, right? Because you can actually get these users for low cost, and also it's going to be very, very specific, as in like buyer keywords, which is the presentation today. And the next one we're going to cover is actually how do you use this through content optimization, and I'm going to share that in another broadcast here coming up probably tomorrow or the next day. It's kind of tired coming in from the weekend here. But I wanted to be sure to, share this with you and get you an idea of some of these potentials for workflow during this process, some of the tools, and some of the expected results. These things are pretty phenomenal when they work. And if you're using this long tail strategy with this buyer intent driven keyword sets, you have a strong potential for good results. So. Anyway, for now, I just want to thank you for joining, and I'll talk to you in the next broadcast. Yeah.